Today we are going to talk about the 5 most common mistakes that first-time writers make. And I know because I have made all of these mistakes. So I'm going to just lay them out and tell you what the 5 most common mistakes are. And without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. My name is Laura. I am a 10-time author, and I am going to help you figure out what mistakes you might be making if you're a new author, or even if you are a published author already, but just want to get better with those skills. So let's jump into it. Number one, the number one mistake that first-time authors make is in the editing process. Yes, a lot of people don't understand how important editing really is. And I'll explain why. So for me, English was very, very easy. I had no trouble with that subject. I did fairly well with that, both in grade school and high school, and then even when I went to college, it was a fairly easy subject for me. However, that doesn't come easy for everybody. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. And it is important to understand that that should never hold anybody back from becoming a writer. Even if you don't think that you are a prolific writer, and I don't consider myself to be a Hemingway or an Anne Rice or anybody special when it comes to writing. But what I do know is that you can always find people who can edit your books. And what happens is too many people become shy or afraid, or they have a fear of rejection when it comes to their writing. So they just don't write. Or they write and they're afraid to show it to somebody. So their manuscript sits around for a long time. The number one mistake I see people doing is not showing their work to an editor. Let somebody fix those mistakes that you might be making. Find someone who can say this sentence is a run-on sentence and it needs fixed, or you have too many punctuation marks here, or your paragraphs need broken up, or maybe you didn't make sense in some of the word choices that you used. And they're going to walk you through that. And getting an editor is probably the best thing that you can do for your writing. So if you are a first-time author, first-time writer, and you're worried about making mistakes, you don't have to be. Get an editor. All right. Number 2 on my list after editing would be the layout and the formatting of the book. I have seen more people, including myself, pull their hair out when it comes to book layout and book formatting. It can be so incredibly frustrating, and it can be a reason why a lot of first-time authors either don't get their book published or they go ahead and publish it, but it doesn't always look so great. We've all read books where the print was just too small or too big, or there were too many gaps between the lines, and it just makes it very difficult to read. So I have some tips and tricks when it comes to formatting, but the number one formatting tool that I use is called Atticus. And I'm going to leave a link in the description. Atticus doesn't sponsor this. I'm not sponsored by Atticus, but it is a program that will help you format your book quickly. Formatting is definitely one of the reasons why some new authors don't end up with a great manuscript, with a great book. And the next most common mistake that I see people making when it comes to becoming a first-time author or publishing their book for the first time has to do with what genre they place their book in. And that may not seem like a big deal to you, but it has everything to do with how people are searching for your book. So genre placement is a really big mistake that people make. Sometimes they think their book might fall into a romance category, but really it leans very heavily into science fiction, and they forget that. And so instead of placing it in, say, a sci-fi romance category, they simply go and place it in a romance category. But when people start to read through the description of the book, they realize that it's just not for them because they were expecting something a little bit different. So the number 3 mistake that first-time authors make is genre placement. Number 4 on our list of mistakes that authors make is cover creation. Oh, goodness. So, a lot of times, just like genre placement, people don't understand that their cover speaks volumes. And I know we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Doesn't necessarily tell us if the book was really a good read or not. But that visual is a very first snapshot that people have of your book. And trust me, I have made every single mistake when it comes to cover creation. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. So creating a cover that speaks to your genre is very important. If you have a romance novel, for example, and on the cover you show a picture of a robot shooting through space in a rocket, that doesn't scream romance to most readers, and they're probably going to just skip over your book. Make sure that on your cover you have a clear title, that your text matches exactly what your genre is. So if it's a Western book, you want to make sure that your cover is designed in a recognizable Western style with recognizable Western style text. And that would be true for any genre. So editing, layout and formatting, genre placement, and cover creation are 4 of the 5 big mistakes that a lot of first-time authors make. And last but not least, this may surprise you, the number 5 reason that people make mistakes has to do with paying too much. Paying too much is a reason that authors sometimes don't end up getting their books done. It's a huge mistake a lot of first-time authors make. It's very common. And what do I mean by that? It is important to get your book edited, but you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars editing your book. In fact, there are free ways that you could edit your book, a lot of free ways that you could edit your book and edit them well, or if not free, very inexpensive ways. Another way that people spend way too much money is in that cover creation. Sure, it's great to get a professional graphic designer if you have a very specific look that you're going for. But in this day and age, it's not necessary. You can always use Canva for free. And so you wouldn't have to pay that, or you can get a subscription to Canva and pay a very small amount and make a really great cover in just a matter of minutes that matches exactly what you want to portray in your book. I see people spending hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get their book laid out and formatted when it is completely unnecessary. You can always get a program like Atticus and do it yourself. There are other ways that you could do it yourself. They're just a little bit more tedious and they don't cost much money. Or you can hire somebody off of, say, Fiverr or one of those types of sites for a nominal fee. But please don't spend thousands of dollars getting your book created. It's just completely and utterly unnecessary. All right, well, those are the 5 most common mistakes that people make. So let's run through the list one more time, and hopefully you can put a little bit of thought into this and maybe change some habits that you've gotten into. So number 1 is editing. Number 2, layout and format. Number 3, genre placement. Number 4, cover creation. And number 5, paying way too much. I hope you got something out of today's video, and I look forward to talking to you again. If you are ever interested in learning more about writing and publishing and formatting your book, you can always check out my course. There's a link in the description below. Have a wonderful day and God bless.